around Gaza City with signs that the plan to take over the city is still on track. Israel has yet to respond to the Hamas positive response to the mediator's 60-day hostage and ceasefire proposal. And Prime Minister Netanyahu is both signaling a willingness for negotiators to attend talks, while at the same time giving a green light to the Gaza war plan. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz has more.
It's day 688 of the war in Gaza, and the IDF offensive is ongoing. IDF tanks reportedly advanced into another Gaza City neighborhood as the army plan to capture Gaza City continues with preliminary ground maneuvers. Social media footage shows IDF tanks operating in the Sabra neighborhood located in the center of Gaza City. It's close to the Zaytun neighborhood where the IDF has been operating for the past week. Tens of thousands of reservists are due to report for service on September 2nd for the offensive, which is expected to begin in the following weeks. Guided by the IDF and ISA intelligence, IDF troops continue operational activity throughout the Gaza Strip. Amid the fighting, the IDF announced the death of an officer, Lieutenant Ori Gerlich, age 20, from Meitar. He was killed in an apparent accidental explosion in southern Gaza. The army is investigating. Looking forward, Prime Minister Netanyahu says he ordered negotiators to attend talks on freeing all hostages and ending the war, alongside the planned assault on Gaza City. The Prime Minister has still not said whether he supports the hostage ceasefire deal backed by Hamas, but he has issued instructions for negotiators to attend talks for the release of all hostages held in Gaza and at the same time approved plans for the military offensive aimed at conquering Gaza City.
אני הגעתי היום לאוגדת עזה כדי לאשר את התוכניות שצה"ל הציג בפניי לשר הביטחון להשתלטות על העיר עזה ולהכרעת החמאס. אני מאוד מעריך את ההתייצבות של חיילי המילואים וכמובן של הצבא הסדיר למען המטרה החיונית הזאת. במקביל אני הנחיתי להתחיל במשא ומתן מיידי על שחרור כל חטופינו וסיום המלחמה בתנאים שמקובלים על ישראל.
Netanyahu delivered the statement in a pre-recorded message outside the Gaza Division headquarters, where he was meeting with defense officials to approve plans for the military takeover of Gaza City. This amid concerns that the offensive would complicate, if not end, efforts to reach a 60-day ceasefire deal brokered by mediators.
Thanks, Steve, for that report. And the families of hostages are demanding for clarity and answers after President Trump said a couple of hostages are no longer alive, bringing the total amount living to less than 20. But there's discrepancy as reports indicate the families of hostages were told there hasn't been any change in the number of living hostages at this time. Here's what else you need to know. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets of Tel Aviv to protest for the release of the hostages Saturday night after Shabbat, as news of a hostage proposal that's on the table and the incoming ground offensive to the Hamas stronghold of Gaza City. It comes on the heels of desperation and fear for the hostages still trapped in the darkness of Hamas's underground tunnels, and also new comments made by President Donald Trump on Friday.
And I've gotten to know a lot of them. They're great people. What they had to go through is incredible. But so now they have 20, but the 20 is actually probably not 20 because a couple maybe aren't around any longer. It's a terrible thing.
President Trump indicated to reporters less than 20 hostages are alive at this point in time in the war, which has caused the families of hostages to be extremely concerned on the status of their loved ones. But according to Channel 12 in Israel, officials here assess that at least 1 or 2 hostages held in Gaza are in life-threatening conditions, a new report that comes just one day after President Trump's comments. The report also suggests Israeli officials are unclear as to why President Trump made these comments that less than 20 hostages could now be alive. The Times of Israel reports that Gal Hirsch, the coordinator for the captives and missing people, told the families of hostages that according to the information that they have, there's no change in the number of living hostages at this point in time. Prime Minister Netanyahu has indicated he's instructed his team to negotiate a comprehensive deal that will free all 50 hostages at one time, different than the phased deal Hamas just agreed to last week, which seeks a 60-day ceasefire and the release of 10 living and 18 dead hostages in exchange for dozens of Palestinian prisoners, dozens of whom are serving life sentences in Israel for murdering Israelis. Joining us now to discuss the developments in Gaza is Brigadier General Reserves Nitzan Nuriel, the former head of Counterterrorism Bureau at the Prime Minister's office. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Good afternoon.
Let's talk about the Gaza City planned military offensive. Netanyahu and the IDF are going through with this plan. We see it's putting pressure on Hamas to get back to the negotiating table. But how else could it pressure the terror group?
Upon the cabinet decision, the military supposed to take the city of Gaza. It will take a few weeks, I can say more than even few weeks. And we believe that part of the operation will add another level of pressure on Hamas and maybe push them into different decisions than they took so far. But it's too early to say.
Too early to say in what capacity? Do you think that it could push them in a different phase militarily, Hamas I'm talking about?
I believe that Hamas at that stage is not looking for, let's say, end state that will release all the hostages, because they have their own conditions, some of them that the state of Israel cannot accept, such as release the last one only by finishing all the rebuild Gaza within 5 years. This is not acceptable, and some others conditions. So I believe that they need another pressure or better understanding that without that, they will not stay alive. Is this enough? I'm not so sure.
Right. What do you anticipate for the Gaza City offensive? How long do you think it will take for the IDF to defeat Hamas there?
We said that we will evacuate all the citizens by October 7th. Symbolically, it's a very important date, and practically, this is the time we need in order to convince almost 1 million citizens to move into the southern part of Lebanon. So from October 7th, it will take, I believe, something like 3 months. So only by the beginning of 2026, we will be able to see if there are any achievements from that part of the offensive.
Right, long way to go. It would almost get to 2.5 years potentially by the time this offensive could be over. Now, there's mixed information coming out about the hostages right now. President Trump said less than 20 of them could be alive at this point, but Israeli officials are saying they don't know of any changes to that number of hostages alive. What could cause a discrepancy like this?
I believe that President Trump said something that you can study from the clips Hamas released about the hostages. You could see that at least those last 2 clips, the hostages are in a very, very, very bad situation. And it is a kind of an estimation saying that if within 3 weeks they did not receive medicines and they did not receive good food, they probably did not survive. It is not based on intelligence. This is assessment which you can accept or you can deny, but it's not out of the blue.
And that goes to my next question. Do you think it's possible Israel could accept a partial deal? We know Netanyahu, of course, is adamant about getting a comprehensive deal at this point in time, but that's the proposal that's on the table, a 60-day ceasefire. What do you think?
I belong to those who believe that we should accept any deal. Anyone we can release, we should accept it. Obviously, we would prefer to have all of them at home. But at that stage, I belong to those who believe that we should accept any type of deal. Any person we can save, this is good news for us.
Brigadier General Reserves Nitzan Nuriel, thanks so much for being with us today, as always.
Thank you very much.
Jerusalem, 1913. There's an epidemic. Up to 90% of children had trachoma. Thousands went blind. Yet one woman had a vision. It started with 2 nurses from America, and today it's 2 world-renowned medical centers, treating more than 1 million people a year, plus youth villages, saving hundreds of thousands since the Holocaust. This is the work of Hadassah, America's largest Jewish women's organization, and a life-changing force in Israel. We helped build Israel's health infrastructure, saved lives during every war and crisis, And now, Hadassah hospitals are pioneering personalized medicine with robotics, 3D printing, AI, and providing essential trauma care. For over 100 years, our vision has been clear: to help heal our world. This is Hadassah.
Israeli officials are calling a UN-backed report declaring famine in northern Gaza a modern-day blood libel. That's the word from the Prime Minister's office after a UN hunger monitor declared for the first time that famine had struck northern Gaza. Here's what else you need to know. The United Nations Integrated Food Security Phase classification system called IPC declared that an estimated 514,000 people, or nearly a quarter of the enclave's population in Gaza, are experiencing famine, and the number is expected to rise.
As a reminder, classifying famine means that the most extreme category is triggered when three thresholds are crossed. Those are extreme food deprivation or starvation, acute malnutrition, and that starvation-related deaths have also passed the emergency threshold. The latest analysis now affirms, on the basis of reasonable evidence, that these criteria have been met.
A statement from the Foreign Ministry called the IPC famine declaration an outright lie. The entire IPC document is based on Hamas lies laundered through organizations with vested interests. There was no famine in Gaza. More than 100,000 trucks of aid have entered Gaza since the start of the war. And in recent weeks, a massive influx of aid has flooded the strip with staple foods and caused a sharp decline in food prices, which have plummeted in the markets. The truth is that because of Israeli actions, there is no starvation in Gaza, according to officials. The U.S. State Department largely dismissed the UN assessment, saying it's looking into reports that the IPC has recently changed its definition for what it constitutes a famine. And now ILTV is proud to partner with Blessed by Israel, a company that brings you extraordinary products handcrafted by the pioneers of Judea and Samaria. Every purchase supports their mission and strengthens Israel's heartland. Let's take a closer look at Blessed by Israel and how you can make a difference today.
As the world moves to boycott Israel, the people working to restore life to the biblical heartland face daily challenges. Blessed by Israel offers a simple way to support these efforts by bringing unique and beautiful products from Judea and Samaria directly to you. From the hilltops of God's land to your home, you can find exceptional items crafted by families and small businesses in the heart of Israel. With U.S.-based warehouses, Blessed by Israel ensures affordable prices and fast delivery. Choose from a range of products, including skincare, artisan flowers and foods, olive oil, tahini, honey, and much more. There are many great options for giving wonderful gifts to your loved ones. Visit blessedbyisrael.com to explore these products and discover the inspiring stories behind them. Scan the QR code on your screen to take part in fulfilling God's prophecies.
ILTV is bringing you an exclusive interview with Mossab Hassan Youssef, also known as the Green Prince, whose father was a co-founder of Hamas. After years inside the movement, Youssef rejected Hamas's ideology and even served as an undercover agent for Israel's Shin Bet. While visiting the Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs, meeting with diplomats and policymakers as a fellow, he spoke with our very own Mayan Hoffman about Hamas and October 7th. Let's take a listen.
So the people who don't live there, they cannot make the connections. And the people who live there, they are afraid to speak.
So that's my question, my next question. You know, you managed to get out and to be able to speak about and really to condemn what you saw there. But, you know, how were you able to do that knowing you were turning against your family in some capacity and everything that you knew?
Well, actually, I did not see it that way.
Okay.
Because my intention was not set to turn against people. I turned against violence. That's a very, very different thing.
Did you think your family would back you?
Absolutely not. Because, as I told you, from childhood, I did much smaller things.
And they didn't back that.
Than opposing the Palestinian violence and the Palestinian nationalism. that is leading to violence. And it was a very painful experience. They did not accept it. And obviously you can see, how my family reacted today when I wrote the book. And in fact, I revealed myself to the public because I should have not been ashamed for doing the right thing, right? So for many people, they don't want to take the risk. From the early beginning, it was like for me, if I don't take the risk, I'm going to die, basically. If I don't defend myself, I'm going to suffer. If I don't stand for who I am, it's going to be a problem. So I developed this mentality as a street boy, and I really did not care. I mean, I was dancing with death on a regular basis, not only because of the violence of the Intifada. It's a very, very dangerous place. Just running for my life on a regular basis. And this is why from early childhood, and unfortunately, I had to see brutality, violence. It made me into something different. I started working, for example, when I was only 10, to help my mother financially, while all the leaders of the revolution enjoying the money, and my father in prison, my mother didn't know how to manage. So there was no way for me to turn against. I was not, even today, I don't think that I'm against my people. When I say, for example, my people are not Palestinians, because when I was born, there was nothing written on my forehead, say Palestine. I was born innocent child.
Right.
Palestine and the Palestinians stole that innocence, stole that childhood from me, as they continue to steal it from all the children. Of course, it was not obvious to me at that time, but now the game is very clear. So we had to fight, the good fight, and I was never motivated by hatred. Even the days later on when I became part of the counterterrorism effort to stop the suicide bombing attacks, I had tremendous amount of power. At a very, very young age, I was walking down the street when I was probably like 22 or 23. I would have the Israeli Special Forces, and I would have also the Hamas militias, and they don't know that they're walking the same street, and both parties were protecting me. I had access to guns. Killing somebody, for example, at that time, I would get away with it because nobody would even dare to
Did you kill a lot
question.
of people?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Even my worst enemies. Wow. Even those who wanted me dead, I did not want them hurt. And this is, for those who don't read my first book, for example, I had many cases where some of my enemies became targets for assassinations. And I knew about their locations. And the agency was just about to drop a bomb on their head, and I refused. So I know their location, but I'm not willing to kill them. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest challenge. And some of these people, actually the ones who still lead in Hamas, the most dangerous Hamas people, and today, I don't want to say I regret it. Their punishment at that time was just death. They're murderers, mass murderers. And if I did not insist on arresting them, Hamas would have not kidnapped innocent civilians to ask for their release.
And joining us now right here in studio is Mayan. Mayan, you sat down with him, you spoke with him. I want to know what his message could be at the debate at the United Nations over the Palestinian statehood, which will take place in September, right?
Sure. Well, I think that the most important message that came out of it with regards to Palestinian statehood is that this battle that Hamas has waged against Israel is not about borders. It is not about the land. It is actually about extremist ideology. What he is saying is that now is the wrong time to give the Palestinians a state because the Palestinians are not ready for statehood. They are still following this ideology, and certainly it is a reward to terrorism if there would be a Palestinian state.
It's so fascinating because of his background, and now he's here in Israel. How do Israelis perceive him being here and his message?
Sure. Well, I think there was a real sense of gratitude, both from Israeli leaders and officials and also from the public at large that knows his story and knows how courageous he absolutely must be to be able to speak out and continue even after October 7th to tell that story. So there was just a real sense of embrace about somebody that are so few and far between telling the truth at a time when so many people are not telling the truth about Israel.
Thank you, Mayan. And we know everyone can watch the full interview, your sit-down interview with him on YouTube, which will be released later today.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And IDF anti-terror operations are ongoing in Judea and Samaria, with the army confirming arrests in Jenin and outside Ramallah. Here's more with ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
The IDF says that 90 wanted individuals were arrested, including a key operative deep inside Jenin. The operation was part of the ongoing effort to thwart terror in Judea and Samaria. At the same time, searches are continuing to locate the gunman who carried out the attack near the Adi Ad settlement in Binyamin. The search focused on the town of Al-Mujair, west of Ramallah. Troops reportedly raided up to 30 homes looking for wanted men and weapons. A number of residents were reportedly arrested. The operation began after an Israeli was wounded by gunfire on Thursday, and the search was launched for the attacker. Soldiers surrounded the village as the search continues.
כל כפר וכל אויב צריך לדעת שאם הם מוצאים פיגוע כנגד התושבים, הם ישלמו מחיר כבד. אנחנו נעשה מאמץ עכשיו במיקוד. וננצל גם את הסד"כ שקיבלנו מיקוד על הכפר אל-מועייר שהוציא לא מעט פיגועים לאחרונה.
The entrances to the village were closed, preventing movement in or out. The army issued a statement saying that forces in the area cleared vegetation and over 3,000 trees were taken down, with engineering forces continuing to operate.
Thanks, Steve. And Israel has reportedly rejected the proposal conveyed by U.S. envoy Thomas Barrack, calling for the IDF to pull out from all outposts in southern Lebanon. Israel is reportedly demanding a Lebanon buffer zone that would be created with several South Lebanese villages that are remaining that don't have residents in them. Still, Israel also rejected the U.S. envoy's call for Israel to end strikes on Hezbollah inside of Lebanon. Jerusalem reportedly did agree to tone it down, but not end the strikes carried out when it finds Hezbollah in violation of the ceasefire agreement in Lebanon and presents a threat to Israel. Staying with Lebanon here, as Israel has returned an Israeli citizen who was detained in the country for about a year. Saleh Abu Hussein is now finally home and was returned to Israel at the Rosh Hanikra border crossing following months of secret negotiations with the help of the Red Cross. Now, the Prime Minister's office welcomed his return, saying it was a positive step and a sign of things to come. Israel has not disclosed details on the circumstances of his detention, and a video filmed by the government's press office shows Hussein with the Israeli hostage official Gal Hirsch with Hussein after his release. Over the weekend, IDF tanks began advancing in and around Gaza City with signs that the plan to take over the city is still on track. Israel has yet to respond to the Hamas positive response to the mediator's 60-day hostage and ceasefire proposal, and Prime Minister Netanyahu is both signaling a willingness for negotiators to attend talks, while at the same time giving a green light to the Gaza war plan. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz has more.
It's day 688 of the war in Gaza, and the IDF offensive is ongoing. IDF tanks reportedly advanced into another Gaza City neighborhood as the army plan to capture Gaza City continues with preliminary ground maneuvers. Social media footage shows IDF tanks operating in the Sabra neighborhood located in the center of Gaza City. It's close to the Zaytun neighborhood where the IDF has been operating for the past week. Tens of thousands of reservists are due to report for service on September 2nd for the offensive, which is expected to begin in the following weeks. Guided by the IDF and ISA intelligence, IDF troops continue